Subject appears to be leaking from multiple orifices simultaneously, Dr. Vex Nor dictated into his data recorder, his three eye stalks swiveling in different directions as he observed the unconscious human. Correction, not leaking. Just moist everywhere. How utterly repulsive. The galactic science vessel Inevitable Discovery had been conducting a routine survey of the third planet in this unremarkable solar system when their sensors detected something that should have been impossible. A planet teeming with Class 4 sentient life that somehow hadn't managed to destroy itself. According to all known scientific principles, any species with nuclear capabilities and reality television should have gone extinct centuries ago. Captain Zornthal had ordered the standard protocol: abduct one specimen, examine it thoroughly, and determine if this species was worth adding to the galactic encyclopedia of sentient oddities before their inevitable self-destruction. Simple enough. Or so they thought. I'm still not convinced this creature is actually alive, Vex Nor continued, prodding the human's shoulder with a sterilized probe. It appears to have no exoskeleton, exposed sensory organs, and wait, is it regaining consciousness? The human, a male specimen who would later identify himself as Jack Murphy, groaned and rolled over, smacking his lips together. Fascinating, Vex Nor whispered, backing away slightly. It's making noises without using its communication appendages. Perhaps some form of distress signal? Jack Murphy opened his eyes, blinked twice, and immediately demonstrated why humans were considered problematic by every advanced civilization in the galaxy. What the actual hell? He said, sitting up abruptly. Am I on a spaceship? Holy crap, I've been abducted by aliens. Instead of cowering in terror like any rational being, Jack's face contorted into what Vex Nor would later learn was a grin, a bizarre display of teeth that inexplicably didn't signal aggression. This is awesome, Jack exclaimed, swinging his legs over the edge of the examination table. I always knew you guys were real. Do you have laser guns? Can I see your engine room? Is this a flying saucer or more of a Star Trek situation? Dr. Vex Nor's exoskeleton paled to a sickly lavender. Hence, in 14 cycles, as the ship's lead xenobiologist, he had never encountered a specimen that seemed excited about abduction. Security to examination room 7, he whispered into his communicator, and bring the tranquilizer cannon. This one's behaving wrong. When Commander Grak arrived with the tranquilizer cannon, Jack was already trying to take selfies with Dr. Vex Nor's research equipment. You think this'll post to Instagram? Jack asked, pointing what appeared to be a molecular disassembler at his own face. Man, I'm going to get so many followers. Put that down immediately. Grak bellowed, his armored exoskeleton clattering as he positioned the cannon. That device could turn your cellular structure into quantum foam. Jack carefully set down the disassembler. My bad. So, you guys speak English? That's convenient. Universal translator, explained Vex Nor, who had retreated behind Grak. Now please remain still while we examine you. This is a scientific expedition, and you are our specimen. Cool, cool, Jack nodded. Hey, is there a bathroom around here? I really need to. Medical Officer Fizzpop, report to examination room 7. Vex Nor interrupted, then turned to Jack. What do you mean by bathroom? You know, Jack made a vague gesture. To relieve myself? Take a leak. Number 1, the aliens exchanged confused glances. Are you malfunctioning? Grak asked hesitantly. What? No, I just need to pee. Your universal translator should be picking this up. A horrified silence fell over the room, broken only when the door slid open to admit Medical Officer Fizzpop, a small, blue-tinged alien with 6 delicate limbs and specialized sensory organs. The specimen requires liquid waste removal, Vex Nor explained, his voice strained. Apparently it's urgent. Fizzpop's sensory frills flattened against her skull. Liquid waste? You mean it doesn't have a recycling system? Apparently not, Vex Nor replied. It needs to expel the waste, like right now, Jack added helpfully. Primitive, Fizzpop muttered, tapping on her datapad. Where does this waste exit the body? Jack pointed. All 3 aliens took an involuntary step back. You eliminate waste near your reproductive organs. Fizzpop's voice had risen several octaves. Yeah, weird design choice, right? Jack shrugged. If I could speak to management about it, I would. Pop quickly directed Jack to a sample collection chamber, while Vex, Nor, and Grak huddled together, whispering urgently. Did you notice its internal temperature? Vex, Nor hissed. It's practically burning up, 37 degrees Celsius. And the respiratory system, Grak added, it's constantly exchanging gases. Not just for communication all the time. What kind of inefficient design is that? When Jack returned, looking considerably more comfortable, the medical examination began in earnest. Your cardiovascular system is concerning, Pop noted as she studied the scan results. You have a single heart that could fail at any moment, and it pumps iron-based blood through vessels that could rupture with minimal trauma. Yeah, heart disease is a big killer back home. Jack agreed casually. My cholesterol's a bit high too. Probably should cut back on the bacon. You knowingly consume substances that damage this already fragile system? Grak's mandibles clicked in disbelief. Oh, for sure. Bacon is delicious. Vex, Nor made a notation. Specimen exhibits self-destructive tendencies, a possible death wish. And your skeleton, Pop continued, displaying a holographic image of Jack's bones. It's inside your body? Completely encased in vulnerable tissue? Where else would it be? Jack asked. On the outside, protecting your vital organs, Grak stated, as if explaining to a particularly dense child. It's like any sensible species. Jack laughed. That would look pretty weird, don't you think? Less weird than what happens when you fall from a moderate height. Vex, Nor countered. Your internal support struts just break. Yeah, broken bones aren't fun, Jack admitted, but they heal. All three aliens stared at him. They what? Pop finally managed. So let me get this straight, Vex, Nor said, pacing the examination room while consulting his data pad. You spend 1/3 of your life in a state of cognitive shutdown. Sleep, Jack corrected. We call it sleep, during which you're completely vulnerable to predators. But you can't avoid it because otherwise your brain, which is protected by nothing more than a thin calcium shell, you would cease to function properly. Pretty much, yeah. And during this sleep state, your consciousness creates false sensory experiences, dreams, which sometimes cause physical stress responses despite no actual danger being present. Anxiety dreams are the worst, Jack agreed. I have this recurring one where I'm back in high school and forgot to wear pants. Grak, who had been quietly polishing his exoskeleton plates in the corner, looked up. Your external covering is removable, and you sometimes forget to wear it. Clothes aren't part of our bodies, Jack explained. We make them from plants and synthetic materials, sometimes animal products too. You wear parts of other organisms. Pop's sensory frills quivered with disgust. Hey, leather jackets look cool, Jack shrugged. But back to the dream thing, yes, our brains basically hallucinate every night. Sometimes they're fun hallucinations, though. Meanwhile, Communications Officer Meep had been monitoring Earth's broadcast signals. She burst into the examination room, her translucent skin flashing warning colors. Captain, you need to see this, she exclaimed, projecting a series of Earth television snippets onto the wall screen. The images showed humans engaging in various activities, jumping out of perfectly functional aircraft, riding unstable wheeled contraptions down mountainsides, but voluntarily submerging themselves in large bodies of water and ingesting substances clearly labeled as toxic. Are they deliberately trying to kill themselves? Captain Zornthal asked, having joined the growing audience in the examination room. We call it having fun, Jack explained. Adrenaline is a hell of a drug. You get intoxicated by your own fear response. Vex, Nor looked horrified. Sometimes. Oh, and speaking of intoxication, Jack pointed to footage of humans drinking alcohol. We also deliberately consume poisons that temporarily impair our cognitive functions. For fun. Pop made a series of rapid calculations on her datapad. According to my analysis, humans have evolved in direct opposition to self-preservation. It's as if your species has a collective death wish. I wouldn't go that far, Jack said. We're just thrill-seekers, risk-takers. It's part of what makes us human. And what about these? Zornthal gestured to footage of humans crying during emotional movies. Some specimens appear to be leaking from their visual organs. Oh, that's crying. We do that when we're sad or really happy, or frustrated, or watching dog commercials. You leak for emotional reasons? Grak's mandibles clicked in disbelief. Well, when you put it that way, it does sound weird, Jack admitted. But it's completely normal for us. Meat played another clip. Humans eating various foods. Your digestive system is perhaps the most alarming, Vex Nor noted. You put external substances into a cavity in your head, grind them with calcium protrusions, add chemicals, and then push them through a long, convoluted tube where microorganisms help break them down. And sometimes those microorganisms get out of balance, and you experience intense abdominal pain, Fizzpop added, reviewing her notes. Taco Bell will do that. Jack nodded sagely. But the worst part, Vex Nor continued, is that the system that processes your nutrients is connected to the system that processes your oxygen. You could easily die if food entered the wrong tube. Choking is definitely a design flaw, Jack agreed. I think we'd all appreciate separate systems for eating and breathing. And yet, Captain Zornthal interjected, despite all these biological disadvantages, your species has become the dominant life form on your planet. Well, yeah, Jack said. We're pretty resourceful. Resourceful? Grak scoffed. You're walking biological disasters. Jack's smile faded slightly. You know what? I've had enough of this examination. I appreciate the alien abduction experience and all, but I really should be getting home. He stood up, stretching his limbs in a way that made Vex Nor's exoskeleton crawl. I'm afraid that's not possible, Zornthal said firmly. We haven't completed our research. Jack's expression shifted to something the aliens couldn't quite interpret. Well, that's unfortunate. Because I really do need to leave. It started with Jack simply walking toward the door. Specimen. Return to the examination table, Grak ordered, moving to block his path. Name's Jack. Not specimen, Jack replied, continuing forward. And I'm leaving. Security Protocol Omega, Grak announced, his exoskeleton plates clicking into defensive position. The specimen is attempting escape. What happened next would be analyzed by the ship's crew for cycles to come. Jack Murphy, this supposedly fragile human with his impractical internal skeleton and inefficient respiratory system, moved with surprising speed. When Grak attempted to restrain him, Jack simply twisted away, demonstrating alarming flexibility. Fascinating, Vex Nor muttered, recording the incident. The lack of exoskeleton actually allows for greater range of motion. Less analyzing, more capturing. Zornthal commanded. When Grak deployed his stun tentacle, Jack grabbed it and pulled, sending the security chief stumbling forward. The force of the impact caused Jack to stumble backward into a shelf of equipment, resulting in a nasty gash on his arm. The specimen is damaged. Fizzpop exclaimed, it's leaking vital fluids. But Jack didn't collapse. Instead, he looked at his bleeding arm with mild annoyance. Got a bandage or something? This stings a bit. You're not dying? Grak asked, genuinely confused. From this little cut? Nah, Jack said, applying pressure to the wound. I've had worse shaving. But your vital fluid is escaping. Vex Nor pointed out. It'll stop in a minute. Body knows how to close small leaks. The aliens exchanged glances. You mean, Fizzpop said slowly, your body automatically repairs breaches in its external covering? Sure. Cuts, scrapes, even broken bones will heal eventually, Jack explained. Takes time. But that's how we're built. Captain. Vex Nor whispered, I believe we may have underestimated the specimen's resilience. As if to prove this point, Jack suddenly lunged past Grak, making it to the corridor before additional security personnel could arrive. For several minutes, the ship descended into chaos as the human navigated the unfamiliar environment with surprising effectiveness. How is it adapting so quickly to our ship layout? Zornthal demanded, watching the security feeds. Their species evolved as persistence hunters. Vex Nor explained, reviewing his data. They appear to have exceptional pattern recognition and spatial awareness. They watched as Jack evaded capture, using objects around him as improvised tools and weapons. When cornered in the hydroponics bay, he displayed another horrifying ability, lifting a storage container that, by Vex Nor's calculations, Indeed, nearly half as much as the human himself. Their muscle density is remarkable, Fizzpop noted. Despite their fragile appearance, they're capable of generating significant force. When security finally surrounded Jack in the shuttle bay, he stood calmly, bleeding from several minor wounds, but showing no signs of serious distress. "Just take me back to Earth," he said. "No hard feelings about the whole abduction thing." "There. Consider it a cultural misunderstanding." "Impossible," Zorn Thal declared, approaching cautiously. "Your species represents a biological anomaly that requires further study." "Yeah, about that," Jack said, picking up a nearby tool that looked suspiciously like it could cause damage. "I should probably mention another weird thing about human biology. We get really creative when we're cornered." The standoff in the shuttle bay lasted 17 minutes before Captain Zorn Thal ordered everyone to stand down. "I believe we've misunderstood something fundamental about humans," the captain announced. "Bexnor, explain what you've discovered." The xenobiologist stepped forward, his eye stalks swiveling nervously. "After analyzing the specimens, Jack's biological data and behavioral patterns, I've reached a startling conclusion. Humans are not, as we initially assumed. It is an evolutionary mistake." "Thank you," Jack said, still holding his improvised weapon. "Rather," Vexnor continued, "they represent an entirely different evolutionary strategy than what we consider optimal. While most advanced species in the galaxy evolved toward specialization and biological efficiency, humans evolved toward adaptability." "Meaning?" Grak asked, still eyeing Jack warily. "Meaning that every flaw we've identified is actually a feature that allows humans to survive in an incredibly wide range of conditions," Vexnor explained. "Their internal skeleton provides superior flexibility and fine motor control. Their exposed skin, while vulnerable, is covered in sensory receptors that provide detailed environmental information. Their seemingly inefficient digestive system can process an astonishing variety of organic materials. And all that leaking you guys were so grossed out by," Jack added. "Sweating helps us regulate temperature. Tears clear debris from our eyes and serve important social functions. Even the bathroom stuff is pretty efficient waste removal." Significantly. Fizzpop interjected, "Their neural architecture appears optimized for creative problem-solving rather than specialized tasks. They can improvise solutions using available materials, adapt to unfamiliar environments. And most concerning of all, they appear to enjoy challenges that would cause most species extreme distress." Deep, who had been monitoring Earth broadcasts throughout the crisis, projected a new series of images, humans rebuilding after natural disasters, exploring hostile environments, creating art from discarded materials, and transforming their surroundings to suit their needs. "They're not just survivors," Zornthal said quietly. "They're conquerors." "I wouldn't put it that way," Jack objected. "Oh, we're explorers. Innovators. Sometimes we get it wrong, but we keep trying. That's what makes you dangerous," Grak said. "Your species embraces failure as a learning opportunity." "Indeed," Vexnor agreed. "Most concerning is their reaction to adversity. When faced with a seemingly impossible situation, humans don't surrender, they become more determined." "It's called spite," Jack grinned. "Sometimes we do things just because someone said we couldn't." A nervous murmur rippled through the assembled crew. "Captain," Meep said urgently, "I've completed a more thorough analysis of Earth's communications. They're already developing faster than light travel concepts. Their fiction is full of stories about encountering alien species. They're actively searching for us. And what happens in these stories when humans meet aliens?" Zornthal asked cautiously. Meep's translucent skin paled. In approximately 62.3% of narratives, humans either defeat the aliens in combat or demonstrate some unique quality that the aliens find superior. "Sounds about right," Jack said with a shrug. "We've been preparing for this moment for a long time." Vexnor's datapad chirped with a new alert. "Captain, my analysis of human history reveals another disturbing pattern. When different human groups encounter each other, they often engage in territorial conflicts, but eventually they exchange ideas, technology, and genetic material. They incorporate the strengths of others into their own societies." "Are you suggesting they would attempt to assimilate us. Exoskeleton paled. More like trade with you, Jack corrected. Exchange scientific knowledge. Maybe watch some movies together. Humans are pretty social creatures. Which brings us to perhaps their most terrifying quality, Fizzpop added. They form emotional attachments to virtually anything other species, inanimate objects, even theoretical concepts. Their young become emotionally bonded to comfort objects. Adults personify their vehicles and electronic devices. I call my car the Beast, Jack admitted. She's got character. Captain, Vexnor said gravely, I believe we have two options. Contain this human and risk provoking his entire species, or establish diplomatic relations and potentially gain a powerful, if unpredictable, ally. So let me get this straight, Jack said, now sitting comfortably in the ship's conference room with a cup of what approximately resembled coffee. You want to establish formal relations with Earth, but you're afraid we'll freak out if you just land on the White House lawn. Given your species' tendency toward dramatic overreaction, yes, Captain Zornthal replied. Your entertainment media suggests humans might respond with violence. Yeah, that's fair, Jack nodded. We do make a lot of movies about blowing up aliens, yet you also create narratives about peaceful coexistence, Meep added. Your species is paradoxical. That's kind of our thing, Jack agreed. So what's the plan? Vexnor displayed a holographic proposal. We suggest a gradual approach. We return you to Earth with a communication device. You select appropriate representatives from your global governance structures. We establish preliminary contact, exchange cultural and scientific information, and eventually progress to formal diplomatic relations. And in return you want? Later, Vexnor said simply. Your species has solved numerous biological and technological problems in ways we never considered. Your adaptability, while terrifying, is also impressive. Plus, Fizzpop added, you have something called pizza that appears frequently in your cultural transmissions. We're curious about its significance. Jack laughed. Oh, we can definitely arrange a pizza exchange program. The negotiations continued for several hours, covering everything from technology sharing protocols to cultural exchange programs. By the time they were finished, Jack had convinced the aliens that humans, despite their biological oddities, would make valuable allies. One last thing, Zornthal said, as they prepared to return Jack to the exact spot where they'd found him. We've prepared a preliminary report on your species for the Galactic Council. Is there anything you'd like us to emphasize? Jack thought for a moment. Just tell them that our greatest strength isn't our technology or our physical capabilities. It's our diversity of thought. We argue, we disagree, we see things differently, and that's what drives us forward. Where you see biological flaws, we see opportunities to overcome challenges. Also mention that we're really good at making movies about our own destruction, he added with a grin. It's kind of our specialty. As the aliens prepared the return shuttle, Vexnor approached Jack with a small device. This will allow you to contact us once you've arranged appropriate representatives. Thanks, Jack said, pocketing the device. And hey, don't be strangers. Next time you're in the neighborhood, give me a call first instead of the whole abduction thing. Agreed, Vexnor replied. Though I must admit, your species' reaction to abduction was unexpected. We're full of surprises, Jack winked. 3 days after returning Jack to Earth, the crew of the inevitable Discovery gathered in the main laboratory to review their findings. I've completed my analysis, Vexnor announced to his fellow scientists, and I believe I understand the fundamental difference between our evolution and theirs. Which is? Fizzpop asked. We evolved to perfect specific biological functions. Humans evolved to be imperfectly flexible. Their biological systems are redundant, adaptable, and constantly changing. They don't just survive their inefficiencies, they thrive because of them. On the main screen, a new project title appeared. What the hell is wrong with alien biology? Like a human perspective. After all, Vexnor said with something approximating a smile, perhaps we're the strange ones.